All right. Je dis nous connaissons, c'est dimanche lié, c'est dimanche qui c'est 3 novembre 2024. Il était seulement un green jour pour élection dans le pays États-Unis. Donc, that's why que dans l'émission Toute Causée jeudi, nous allons parler spécialement de élection dans le pays États-Unis. C'est ça que nous prenons voir. Nous prenons voir comment sondage yoye qui est un petit peu inquiétant pour un pile monde dans le moment ça. Et l'enfin sondage yo gagne différents points qui affectaient élection ça nous pral déclaration plusieurs auteurs qui parlaient tant que Barack Obama et tant que Michelle Obama qui c'est des noms et qui très populaire Jean connaît donc nous pral moun sa semblier VP Kamala Harris qui dans différents états là n'a regardé dans Pennsylvania côté que la parler avec population pral quitter nous suivre extrait ça yo. Mesdames et messieurs, nous avons un moment qui est vraiment critique et son moment qui est vraiment critique, l'Mdouza, pas de jouette dans ça. Nous allons voir tout détail qui est là, qui est-ce qui a mené, quantité de monde qui déjà voté dans l'élection ça. Oui, c'est la première fois, il y a toute quantité de monde, il y a plus que 72 millions de monde qui ont voté. J'entendais, il y a plus que 72 millions de monde qui ont voté. Et nous prenons comment dossier voté par rapport à républicain yo et puis démocrate yo, nous prenons tout ça et dans vidéo ça. Nous prenons parler également de dossier moun k'ap signé pétition peuple là mettait d'ailleurs pour sénateur Guy Philippe qui mandait sénateur Guy Philippe comme leader yo, qui reconnaît sénateur Guy Philippe comme leader yo, et ben c'est sa pétition qui reconnaît sénateur comme leader pour diriger c'est ça et bien moun qui d'accord donc son bagay moun qui d'accord ou même ou pas d'accord ou pas signer mais sous supporter Guy Philippe et bien ou mettre en signe. Mesdames et messieurs, moi parler avec un pile moun dans différents coins dans le monde là sans compter moun qui États-Unis et bien tout le monde a un seul espoir dans le pays d'Haïti là non pas opposition. Ça veut dire moi pose cette question côté une série de nègres qui qu'on a fait opposition voyant ou pas voyant du tout. Moi demandé côté Moïse Jean-Charles, yon nèg depuis gen pouvoir toujours camper dans sous l'estomac pouvoir. Ou pas well parce que li nan pouvoir. Ou demandé côté Claude Joseph pendant Ariel Henry était là toute journée Claude Joseph te gon campagne la mené ou pas pour qui élection côté Claude Joseph ou pas well parce que nan pouvoir côté André Michel qui pas de bail soufa Jovenel Moïse ni à Michel Joseph Martelly ni aucun président passé côté André Michel ou pas well parce que li nan pouvoir donc actuellement ou pas ouais personne qui te qu'on a dit ou yo nan opposition ça pas marcher bien pour peuple là tout nèg nan pouvoir tout nèg a souci. Et m'bral di nou yon qualité que me découvrir m'a vinn sou nou nan Guy Philippe là c'est que Guy Philippe pas yon politicien. M'a prédit Guy Philippe pas yon politicien. Et haïtien actuellement nan niveau de situation Haïti là, li pas besoin yon politicien. Guy Philippe gon travail et monsieur a fait parce que faut que moi recevoir appel direct sénateur et qui a dit c'est pas pouvoir qui intéresse, c'est pas pouvoir. Et moi c'est pas élection qui intéresse, c'est ouais pays a changé. C'est le sénateur a gardé pas une personne qui a changé donc finalement pour le changer nous obligé gain pouvoir mais c'est pas ça que folie principale c'est ouais pays a changé. Donc ou pas qu'après on nèg mette ou gen espoir nèg la pral fait j'on ta remet ouais pays ou là vraiment. C'est dans ce sens ça. Donc qui fait que moi-même moi supporter travail sénateur Guy Philippe a fait et moun qui signe pétition s'il vous plaît qui ouais non même page que le change.org qui mande si vous voulez supporter ou bien si vous voulez partager qui mettez comme là comme vous mettez pas pour Guy Philippe. Tenez bien. Non website ou signer pétition l'argent ou mettez pas pour Guy Philippe. L'argent ou mettez c'est l'argent ou fait website là qui bail côté pour nous faire pétition cadeau pour nous continuer travail mais l'argent ça pas le jeune Guy Philippe. Si yon moun ou besoin Alors, aider pas aider sénateur, parce que l'argent pas aller dans mes sénateurs Guy Philippe. L'argent pas aller dans mes sénateurs Guy Philippe. M'a chercher website là et m'a make sure que moi joindre pour me partager ensemble avec nous parce que c'est très important. Si on moun ou voulez, c'est pas si vous voulez et sénateur Guy Philippe relève ni en coulisses tout gens pour dire lui-même li pas dans dossier comme li impossible pour faire politique sans l'argent parce que à qui ça va faire politique là lui-même il pas recevoir aucun cob de manière individuelle de manière personnelle mais si on moun ou besoin supporter un bien mouvement frayant il y a un website c'est lui-même m'a chercher là mes amis moi t'ai un website là sous les yeux même perdu bien sûr avant live ça a fini m'a getan monter avec website là pour nous pour me capable montrer nous et mais si vous besoin supporter qui côté pour aller pour supporter. Mais signer pétition, c'est seulement signer pétition, c'est ça au besoin. Donc signer pétition pour plus de monde qui arrive. Donc website là li échappé moins. M'a demandé au monde qui gagne mettez en bas vidéo pour moi là bien rapide. Mettez-li pendant vous avez des vidéos à mettre website là de quoi que mesdames et messieurs pour nous capable bien arriver supporter mouvement ça, supporter travail ça, supporter activité ça, supporter révolution ça pour pays à lui-même li kab connaît un changement oui et faut ou capable aider pour capable supporter mouvement ça pour pays à lui-même li capable connaît un changement et m'kwa m'gagne yon flowers qui gagne website là la donne c'est vers la nouvelle haïti.com OK /donation vers la nouvelle haïti.com /donation c'est là où vous capable supporter travail là et bon écrit pour nous capable et m'bral partager écran moi pour capable well parti tout chaud là on comprend parti tout chaud et vers la nouvelle Haïti vers la nouvelle haïti.com vers la nouvelle haïti.com bien sûr I got it et vers la nouvelle haïti.com et puis yo ou pour aller dans donation côté dit donation OK et c'est lui même ça bon partager ça écran ensemble avec nous m'a prend ensemble pour faire ça parce que yo même yo gen Kamala OK nous même nous gen Guy Philippe yo même yo gen Kamala OK yo même yo gen ki moun Kamala nous même nous gen ki moun Guy Philippe et si nous pas supporter ça nous gen pas moun a supporter pour nous donc tout monde gen position yo OK nous même nous gen Guy Philippe yo même yo gen Kamala mais website là guys c'est sous li pour supporter sous besoin voyer cob c'est sous li pour voyer cob là OK c'est sous li pour capable voyer l'argent si toutefois ou besoin supporter yo. Si toutefois vous avez besoin de supporter le travail, ça, c'est sous li, mes website là. Vous pouvez aller vers la nouvelle haïti.com. Allez vers la nouvelle haïti.com et puis là, vous êtes capable de supporter. Je vais partager encore flyers, moun capable de supporter, qui gen mon cash la donne, qui gen zel la donne, qui gen sendwave, etc. Je vais partager flyers là encore. Je vais rappeler tout le monde, moi, pas travail pour Guy Philippe, pas travail pour aucun parti politique. OK? Et je supporte tout le monde qui a fait ça qui bon dans le pays d'Haïti. C'est ça que je fais. Je supporte tout le monde qui a fait ça qui bon dans le pays d'Haïti. Moi, je m'bouke moi-même. Je ne peux pas investir dans le pays. Je ne peux pas prendre comme moi mal mettre dans le pays. Tandis que je travaille dur. Je travaille dur. Mais je suis obligé de chercher l'autre petit pays d'ailleurs. Pour moi, si je peux investir comme moi, l'aime grand monde. Parce que moi-même, je ne suis pas nègre, l'aime grand monde qui va dépendre de social sécurité. Non, social sécurité, pas comme la vie moi-même. Donc, that's why il faut que pays, je acheter caille moins et puis me faire Airbnb, je faire compagnie taxi, même gens, nous faisons une série de pays côté nous passer. Oui, nous capables. Nous capables faire business n'a fait d'ailleurs dans pays nous tout. Alors Meni, si vous avez besoin d'aider mes amis Meni, ou à faire screenshot ça, n'importe quel numéro ça, c'est numéro équipe Guy Philippe là, yoye. Donc numéro lui-même pour capable faire zèle là, mélan là ou elle nan flyers ou regarder. Donc zèle bon m'approcher pour pas dire zèle en bas et pour non, numéro zèle en bas ouais en bleu et bah pam et lui-même. Donc c'est pas ça, c'est dans flyers là, c'est même du flyers là pour prendre photo flyers là, s'il vous plaît. Pas confondre. Ouais zèle m'gain terminé par 09 là, pas recevoir cob pour personne moun là-dedans, mesdames et messieurs, sauf moun qui prend la tibonite, moun qui a payé la tibonite, moun qui achète produit qu'en gagne, moun zayo, OK? Donc that's why que bon faut tirer pour capable exactement mes numéros sénateur Guy Philippe yo, c'est yo même pour utiliser sous besoin et de travail sénateur Guy Philippe lui-même l'a fait qui très très important pour que nous te mentionné pour peuple là capable connaître comment eux même yo capable supporter travail ça mais sur website ou signer pétition pas faire donation et l'argent sous lui parce que c'est pas l'argent que pas jeune sénateur si vous voulez des websites là qui bail possibilité pour faire pétition oui mais si toutefois c'est sénateur c'est mouvement frein ou voulez supporter c'est dans numéro moi sur ba ou là yo M'kwe, ou ap joine pétition ça dans tout côté et ou ap joine ou même cap suivre ou même qui suivent messieurs yo donc ou ap joine qui suivent tout l'autre messieurs qui fait travail mais qui toujours bail interview avec sénateur sur toute plateforme ça ou doit joindre un bien et l'inclan etc. Donc m'a rappelé là soit aller sur page Facebook sénateur Guy Philippe et mais ou ap joine sur page Facebook sénateur Guy Philippe également et yo te partager page qui officielle là ensemble avec moi m'bral essayer joindre tout m'a fait un travail colossal jodi à là parce que il y a plusieurs pages qui t'a dit ou c'est pour sénateur Guy Philippe mais pas grand rien pour avec sénateur Guy Philippe et ben m'bral montrer qui page officielle sénateur Guy Philippe et lui-même m'bral montrer qui page sénateur officiel sénateur Guy Philippe là donc c'est sous page ça ou a joindre link là également pour cap signer pétition mesdames et messieurs, OK? Donc moi-même depuis qu'on bon gouvernement nous mettre blier numéro depuis qu'on bon gouvernement tout simplement depuis me rentrer dans pays, OK? Et songez seulement de bail participation pour me rentrer dans pays donc les rentrer dans pays à souple quitter me faire travail moins légalement et pas mettre babouquette dans bouche moins that's all I need mes pages officielles Facebook sénateur Guy Philippe là c'est seul lui même yo gagné comme page officielle d'après ça membre équipe liant fait me connaît OK page ça marqué Guy Philippe là moi c'est Guy Philippe c'est lui même qui page officielle il gagne 27 000 followers c'est lui même qui page officielle sénateur Guy Philippe m'a demandé pour nous couper petit parti dans vidéo ça laguer couper laguer là ou ap joindre lien pétition cliquez là pour capable signer pétition ou ap cliquer sur lien ça pas gain ou pas boire sac pas vle boire mais ça Chloé cap dit boire Clorox donc moi même m'a dit non ti moun sac pas vle embarquer donc là nous obligé faire un choix nous obligé supporter yon moun jodi c'est toi lié bonjour tous amis comment y est m'espère en forme si n'a regarder vidéo ça image ça si que nous live ensemble même là c'est que nous là toujours nous dit papa bon Dieu qui on dans là gros merci qui fait un cadeau un jour en plus non pas c'est MPH zami mieux les MP ma belle Hélène les MPP l'autre boule sucre moi yo toujours à chercher yo non pour yo bon moi c'est tout un plaisir pour me passer pour me fournir non information mesdames et messieurs. Après-midi, c'est dernier dimanche avant élection. Élection, c'est mardi. Pas gain ou pas boire. Nous obligés, faut tirer la communauté là pour nous parler de ça qui a passé dans le mouvement élection. Il y a des gens qui écrivent pour dire MP et franchement MP non inquiété pour Jean Noé Bagay a passé là MP nous vraiment inquiété petit garçon me dit me so penser dit me so ouais dit ça qu'a fait dans domaine élection là moi dit pas un problème m'a vinn là après-midi pour me partager détails ensemble avec nous oui tu as raison pour mon inquiété si sondage et ta clé yo même c'est eux même qui t'a bail pouvoir mesdames et messieurs. Parce que m'pa bon menti et ta clé là jodi a moun k'ap mené là dedans c'est pas Kamala Harris lié c'est Donald Trump OK et dans état clé yo jodi a là si c'est état clé qui t'a bail élection l'aime dit c'est yo oui k'ap bail élection m'pa dou si c'est yo qui t'a bail li mais ça veut dire si c'est sondage là qui t'a bail élection sondage actuel état clé qui t'a bail élection jodi a là et nous t'a dit malheureusement nous perdu élection. Mais mesdames et messieurs, état qui plus important dans l'élection ça moun yo besoin connaît c'est état qui est le Pennsylvania et état ça actuellement et d'après expert yo li tight. Li tight parce que dans sondage yo gen marge d'erreur. Et marge d'erreur yo à 3 à 4 points. Ça veut dire 3 à 4 points ça ka jouer n'importe qui moun. Dans cas ça ou pas ka dit et c'est un tel qui gagne. Au niveau national, le jeune Kamala Harris l'a mené à un point de différence. Et un point de différence ça au niveau national là, Kamala Harris pas jamais perdu et depuis que il rentre dans le course là avec Donald Trump. Si vous regardez ça, vous regardez, vous pouvez Kamala, il a 2 points, à 2 points, à 3 points, à 2 points, à 3 points. Vous comprenez? Mais il pas jamais monter plus haut. Ça veut dire que nos sondages, c'est qu'on s'allie au niveau national. Au niveau national, c'est Kamala. Mais l'un là, dans l'état cléo, mesdames et messieurs, état cléo rouge non mais nous. État cléo rouge non mais nous, yo rouge non mais nous. Donc, là, l'arrivée là, nous, dans Pennsylvania, on dit yo même. Ça veut dire, et pas inquiète de 49 ça. Donc, les tight, ça veut dire, deux messieurs dames, yo même côté. Yo même côté, actuellement. Tout côté est marqué même ou bien tight. Si toutefois, vous regardez en anglais, on va le marquer tight, ça veut dire, yo censé même côté. Et puis tout, dans Nevada, c'est 49-48. Ici, c'est 48-48. Dans Michigan, c'est 48-48. Dans Georgia, c'est 49-48. Donc, dans Arizona, nous, Donald Trump a mené à 4 points de différence. Là, c'est inquiétant. Mais des États ça tout gen North Carolina, dans North Carolina tout et 48-48 yo tight, OK? 48-48 yo tight, dans Nevada yo tight, non Nevada donc yo toujours tight 49-48, ici à 48-48 dans North Carolina. 48-48 dans North Carolina, ça veut dire moun qui gen North Carolina et qui gen Nevada ensemble avec lui la élection. Donc c'est ça que en même temps, si vous perdez Pennsylvania ou gen North Carolina et ou gen Nevada ensemble avec ensemble avec si vous gen Nevada ou gen North Carolina ou ta gen Georgia, OK, so là ou a gen élection. Ça veut dire là janvier là mesdames et messieurs, m'pa bon menti, l'étape inquiétant. Mais gen marge d'erreur jusqu'à maintenant pas ka di ki moun k'ap gen. So au point de vue national ou a regardé et Kamala jusqu'à maintenant yo eli entre les 226 votes qu'elle gagnait 226 et puis 219 pour Donald Trump. Donc la grande différence sera faite ici et ce sera le 5 si Dieu le veut. Donc qu'est-ce qu'il y en est? Où est-ce qu'on en est maintenant? Donc ça important aujourd'hui c'est tout le monde sorti à voter et voter pour moun ou voter pour lion ou c'est immigrant ou déjà qu'on pour qui moun ou voter pour moun ou voter pour l'IA. Bon, bah là très inquiétant. Inquiétude yo mené et surtout républicain yo là non mettez pays à chaud. Mesdames et messieurs, m'bral une analyse que me fait là. Si Donald Trump gagne élection ça, Trump gon pouvoir, Trump gon super pouvoir nan men. Parce que Donald Trump a prouvé que il bat toute grande autorité qui gagne dans le pays. Mon pas qui autorité qui grand qui campe avec Donald Trump. Il est censé pour contre lui dans la bataille là. Et l'a mené. Ça veut dire que une victoire de Donald Trump doit inquiéter moun. Une victoire de Donald Trump doit inquiéter ou. Parce que si Trump a pouvoir, il ne doit pas jamais quitter l'encore. Il ne doit pas jamais descendre, quitter Maison Blanche. Bagay li getan dit. On ouais et comment qui détaille c'est n'a bon nous 2 jours là avant élection comment situation est li encore very tight. Donc nous pral regarder et bagay nous doit connaître avec seulement 2 jours jusqu'à élection vice-président Kamala Harris avec ancien président Donald Trump, il a fait campagne dans l'état Chambatayo. Trump li gagné un rassemblement dans Pennsylvania et North Carolina, Georgie et Harris lui-même li passé toute journée dans Michigan. Et message de clôture, Trump était invoqué et des rhétoriques sombres dans le premier rassemblement dans journée dit que li pas doué quitter Maison Blanche en 2020. Ça c'est gros causé Donald Trump mentionné en 2020, il pas doué quitter Maison Blanche, il était fin perdu élection. et il pas déranger personne et qu'il ne serait et qu'il ne se dérangeait par personne qui t'a doué et tiré à travers des fausses nouvelles pour capable et gagner quel pouvoir. Harris, quant à lui-même, il prend parole dans l'église dans la région Detroit, côté il dit que la communauté doit agir pour décider des destins de nation. Donc, plus gros déclaration de Donald Trump, lui-même lui fait jeudi qu'il ne devait pas quitter la Maison Blanche en 2020. Selon Donald Trump, c'est une erreur qu'il a commise qui grave, laquelle il a quitté Maison Blanche. Donc, il doit rester dans Maison Blanche sans personne pas qu'à mettre le dehors. En quelque sorte, ça veut dire qu'il a pris un pouvoir de force. C'est ça Donald Trump lui-même lui déclare. Dans l'élection, ça a gagné presque 73 millions de monde qui déjà voté. Soit gain plus que 40% de totalité monde qui a voté dans l'élection 2020, qui a 72,6 millions Américains déjà voté. Est-ce qu'il y a des gens qui gagnent l'élection déjà? Non, style pas qu'à dire ça. Parce que, faut que moi dise que, année ça, les républicains, yo fait dégâts dans le dossier vote en avant, yo voté en pile. Quand nous avons campagne Donald Trump, yo tenté nettoyer rhétorique violent ancien président envers journalistes. Selon sa CNN fait connaître. Campagne Donald Trump, il cherchait nettoyer vieille parole Donald Trump lui-même était présenté envers journalistes et jeudi dimanche là qui était publié une série de déclarations selon déclaration ça yo. Donc Trump l'était fait à la recherche de bien-être et l'était fait à la recherche de bien-être journalistes. OK, parce côté que il pas de souci de connaître si on moun te veut tirer à travers journalistes donc personne pas essayer. Déclaration était publiée par porte-parole campagne là, c'est Stephen Chung, et peu après que Trump lui-même l'était pris en charge, remarque ça yo. Mesdames et messieurs, déclaration président sous placement de protection du verre n'a rien à voir avec le fait que médias yo blessé ni rien d'autre. Donc Donald Trump ça me toujours dit c'est pour nèg cap chercher gain pouvoir pendant la passer burn en bouchou, son nèg qui dit ça la fait. Quand il déclare semaine ça que mesdames yo vle que mesdames yo pas vle la protéger. Qui ça veut dire? Ça veut dire que mesdames yo vle qu'elle pas vle donc a fait bonne et loi avortement bah ça l'a éliminer complètement. Ça veut dire pas de question moun pral cap gen droit pour avorter. Donald Trump l'a éliminé bagay ça lui-même complètement mesdames et messieurs. Donc, Vance lui fait ressortir un pile l'argent de $5,000 pour le cap démontrer combien Harris coûtait, supposé, et coûtait à Américains. Donc, son série de rhétorique qui vraiment bail problème. Donc, nous pour aller là, dans le chat, comment dossier vote dans 2 jours, eh bien, qui manquait pour élection, lui-même, l'UIVE, pas oublier, m'so dit, gagné 72,6 millions Américains qui déjà voté et pendant 2 jours 72,6 millions Américains y ont déjà voté OK dans l'élection pour le fait 5 novembre non moun sa yo pas sorti ça t'a expliqué en pile bagaille ça t'a expliqué que dans jour élection pas gen trop moun dans la rue parce que 72 millions moun qui t'a doué et sorti pas sorti joue ça. CNN SUIVES et qui vote préélectoral dans 36 États qui offrent un vote rapide ainsi que façon chiffre vote yo process et yo comparé et Jean ça te fait les 4 ans de cela les COVID-19. Donc démocrates yo détenaient un large avantage par rapport à républicains dans vote de bio il y a 4 ans, ça veut dire 4 ans de cela démocrates ont plus moun qui t'a voté d'avance mais année ça républicains sont censé gagner plus moun qu'à voter d'avance que démocrates. Qui moun qui vote bonnet dans l'état comment ça y est par rapport à républicain par rapport à moun qui registré pour démocrate et moun qui enregistré tout pour personne comment ça y est Dans l'année 2020, donc dans Arizona, nous avons 36% donc démocrates et 37% républicains. Donc dans l'année 2020, année ça nous avons 33% démocrates ils ont diminué et puis républicains eux même continuent à monter à 41% dans Arizona. Arizona a plus républicains qui ont voté que démocrates, c'est-à-dire que 75% républicains dans l'état ça qui ont voté, côté gagne seulement 25% démocrates qui votaient dans l'état ça. Let me tell you something. Ça représente un gros bagage, 75% républicains qui ont voté, donc 25% démocrates eux même seulement qui votaient, mesdames et messieurs. Donc ça veut dire. Qui ça veut dire? Ça veut dire si Donald Trump pour gagner dans Arizona, il pas gagner encore. C'est comme ça lié. N'a tout pour North Carolina qui tout près là dans 2020 35% et démocrates qui ont voté mais d'avance jodi et nous gagne 32% démocrates qui ont voté. Tandis que non année ça gagné 32% démocrates et 33% républicains. Encore laisse ça 31% républicains dans 2020, 35% démocrates. Année ça gagne 32% démocrates, 33% républicains qui ont voté. Dans Nevada gagné dans le ça 38% démocrates qui ont voté et 36% républicains. Année ça gagne 34% démocrates qui votaient et 38% et républicains qui ont voté, soit 75% qui ont voté. Dans l'année 2020, pour Pennsylvania, tu as 67% démocrates qui ont voté et 23% républicains. Donc, tu as voté, là, ça n'a pas oublié, tu as perdu. Mais année, ça a 56% démocrates qui votaient et 33% républicains qui votaient. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est très important. Donc, on peut regarder dans Pennsylvania, il y a pile possibilité, Pennsylvania, li retomber encore pour démocrates, année ça. Il y a pile possibilité. Parce que Pennsylvania, moun yo très motivé, yo fait tout ça yo capable, et dans Pennsylvania d'après ça m'tande là, gon paquet moun kal voter pour démocrate et moun ça c'est républicain que oui. Ça veut dire républicain gen possibilité pour yo perdu Pennsylvania année ça. Et si yo perdu Pennsylvania année ça, ou mettre quoi m'souvler, donc gros lion, li prend gros coup. Pas oublier que gon état qui c'est Iowa donc qui était voté pour républicain yo dans élection passée année ça démontré carrément il a voté pour démocrate, c'est déjà un très mauvais signe pour républicain yo. Mais ça peut empêcher, d'après experts, républicains et arrangé pour ta voler élection et il y a tout gens au cap fait. Nous prenons tranquillement jeter un coup d'œil sur moyen républicains capable utiliser pour ta voler élection les mêmes by et Donald Trump. Nous prenons jeter un coup d'œil comment républicains capable voler élection by Donald Trump, mesdames et messieurs. Donc Jean va regarder là donc au Kaboué, c'est un tête-à-tête et président donc Donald Trump avec président Chamnan et qui c'est Mike Johnson, OK? Et Mike Johnson dans 17 octobre 2024, on a eu un petit complot à fait, un petit tête-à-tête, OK? Donc là où t'as senti il vraiment paraître un petit peu illégal, mais légal, ça veut dire pour nèg la cap diriger pays, il voter pour diriger pays et puis les plus mettre tête à nèg qui pas président pour le craser pays, mais c'est américain lié, donc laisser Américain toute bagaille légale. Donald Trump avec allié dans le congrès avec dans bureau électoral à travers pays il a disposé d'une variété d'outils pour démanteler volonté électorale et installer Trump en tant que président. Résultat élection mardi donc yo dami. Il y a une grande partie de la nation qui était choquée lorsque tentative annuler l'élection 2021 était culminée avec une insurrection violente aux États-Unis. Capitole le 6 janvier 2021 et bien que scénario salier spécifique, les capables peu susceptibles pour le jouer à nouveau 6 janvier. Nation du monde capable stupéfait une fois de plus à distance à laquelle républicain capable de rendre une victoire potentielle à vice-président Kamala Harris. Congrès a été tenté pour te combler un certain de lacunes que Donald Trump et républicain en chambre Sénat essayé exploiter il y a 4 ans, mais le danger il reste toujours en vigueur. Républicains pro Trump il y a encore plusieurs voix pour yo renverser élection si vice-président Kamala Harris lui-même lui remporter élection. Ça veut dire son gros bataille qui gagne là. Et pendant ce temps, il y a une coalition diversifiée bipartisane de législateurs d'experts en droit électoral, juges à la retraite et anciens responsables fédéraux qui ont été des scénarios de guerre à la fois en jonction avec la campagne Harris et de manière indépendante pour préparer un coup d'état constitutionnel dirigé par les républicains qui est capable à nouveau arriver à un point culminant. Donc, mesdames et messieurs, par résumé, gagner un coup d'état qui a préparé en bas. Républicains qui dans le Congrès, avec républicains qui dans tout pays. Donc, mesdames et messieurs, ils mettent tête ensemble pour voir comment, si Kamala Harris gagne l'élection, comment ils même sont capables de boycotter les résultats et puis plaquer dans l'estomac Moun, Donald Trump comme président. Mais faut que moi dis non carrément il pas passé et la loi primée dans le pays États-Unis quel que soit agent ça il pas passé si Donald Trump perdu l'élection il perdu le net et maintenant de est-ce que pas ouais Donald Trump perdu l'élection qui cause bagaille yo taille comme ça non façon yo taille là Jean wap gadel au niveau national c'est comme ça dossier et Kamala Harris li 48 et Donald Trump li 47% et dans tout sondage yo montré même bagaille que Kamala Harris lui-même l'a mené à un point au niveau national sous Donald Trump. Donc, un point ça, c'est lui-même qui est capable de faire le président, dans le pays, les États-Unis. N'a continué, Jean O'Connell, jeudi c'est tout causé, nous prenons tout causé jeudi pour nous parler élection américaine et pour nous dire comment situation lui-même la peut fonctionner là parce que nous connaissons et ça capte nous là, c'est élection. Élection ça qui a un impact capital sur la vie chaque monde capte dem là, ko vle le ko pas, élection ça li a un impact sur la vie chaque haïtien côté étranger. Donc on parler avec quelques monde qui c'est des Européens, yo même yo dit tout, élection ça a un impact sur pays yo. Si Donald Trump gagne élection, l'Europe met deal perdu. L'Europe met deal entravé. Si Donald Trump gagne élection ça, Ukraine met dit la ville finie, Israël met dit la ville finie. Donc nous avons un paquet de grands pays qui met dit donc yo même yo entravé. Les pays de l'OTAN, Donald Trump pas jouer avec yo. Li Gentan dit la fait pays l'OTAN yo, li pas bay pays l'OTAN sécurité si toutefois pays autant ça yo même yo pas payer pour sécurité, yo pas bay sécurité. Ça veut dire c'est ça que moi dit nous Donald Trump li pas acheté figi moun ça l'a dit à li dit. On dirait que Donald Trump agit li parler tant coup pour yo pas voter. M'pa konn son stratégie Donald Trump utiliser comme ça, li parler non gens pour moun pas ta voter pour le faire peur carrément et li parler comme ça. Mais c'est comme ça, il senti que pour le parler avec les républicains pour voter, donc c'est comme ça lui-même lui parler parce que les républicains, ils n'ont rien à perdre. C'est pas monde qui besoin de faire pays, c'est monde qui plus besoin conserver l'argent, conserver ça au gain. Donc c'est ça qui fait un petit peu paraître très raciste. Ils pas vle ouais noir, ils ont plus des blancs que des noirs. Donc voilà, c'est comme ça bagalaye, that's why que yon élection de on gagnant et dans l'élection ça Donald Trump, l'a vraiment sorti grave pour tout immigrant. Dans la dernière rubrique information, on va quitter entendre comment Michelle Obama donc lui-même l'a cassé mettait nommé Donald Trump. Michelle Obama vraiment upset, vraiment fâché, vraiment dérangé façon louer élection ça va aller là, elle mandel lui-même comment bagaille ça va aller. Mesdames et messieurs, son bail qui est extrêmement grave et ça qu'a passé là et Barack Obama lui-même tout lui étonné parce que il pas capable comprendre comment peuple là yo capable comprendre que comment peuple là yo capable comprendre que Donald Trump capable résoudre problème yo et Kamala Harris li continue à faire belle promesse yo et belle promesse côté l'a dit mais lui-même li pas ennemi avec moun qui pas zami yo moun qui oppose avec yo le pape ennemi yo mais au contraire la bayon on place bon table là mesdames et messieurs li fait comprendre li pral réduit li pral réduire taxe pour plus que 100 millions américains. Donc moun qui gagne bien qui a monté petit business yo, li pral prêter l'argent, li pral faire des millions de cailles pour moun qui pas gagne caille, pour moun qui a besoin caille loué à bon marché, li pral descendre prix produit des premières nécessités automatiquement li monter sous pouvoir, gon paquet belle promesse madame nan fait, m'pral quitter entendre bar et Michel et femme toute femme, m'pral quitter entendre Barack là et m'pral quitter entendre donc vice-président parce que n'a couvri quelques bagailles qui gagne pour avec élection dans moment, moun qui inquiet parce que nous ouais dans état clé au gain monter descendre ça. Donc semaine ça son semaine turbulence. Donc c'est tout à fait normal parce que sondage yo fait avec plus moun qu'al voter déjà. OK, sondage yo fait avec plus moun qu'al voter et puis plus moun yo y a voter pour républicain. Gen moins démocrate qui sorti à voter. Donc puisque moun yo ka fait sondage yo semaine ça, yo plus rete bon côté moun a vinn voter pour yo poser question, y a besoin plus républicain donc qui répondent, y a voter pour Donald Trump que démocrate. Ou pas comprendre. Donc ça veut dire moun qui fait sondage là, et pas dans machine dans la rue, y aurait été bon côté moun y a vinn voter, mais il a posé aux questions là, il y a besoin plus républicain parce qu'il y a 75% républicains qui déplacés dans état clé au voter. Donc c'est normal pour pas jouer dans pile monde pour Kamala Harris. Mais dans jour élection, a bien plus moun qui vinn pour Kamala Harris. Si on t'a fait sondage le 5 mardi, il y a besoin plus fort moun yo vinn voter Kamala Harris. Et laisse ça au Kaboué, Kamala Harris est juste passé, et puis le passé monté, et puis le couvrir, Donald Trump, et tout le bagage fini. Donc, guys, m'pas prophétiser, mais intuition, moi, pas qu'on va mentir. OK? Et m'capran, OK? Si n'ta ouais m'tromper là, m'tromper sur intuition, m'tromper, donc, mais intuition, pas mentir facile. C'est très difficile pour Donald Trump. OK? La très difficile pour Donald Trump. Et m'pas perdre $10,000. M'pas perdre $10,000. OK? On investit sur kapedi m'pas perdre $10,000. Si vous avez $1,000 ou bail ou ka voyer sous elle là. M'pas perdre $10,000 parce que intuition m'voye en pile vers Kamala Harris, l'histoire a changé, on paquet de bagages changé. Entendez et trois grands potentiels ça yo m'entendez yo assoya parce qu'il a motivé pour être positif even though you don't speak English parce que m'pas après ça pour me traduire tout ça tout le monde ça dit pour nous even though pas parler anglais mais motivation là la force senti gon mouvement qu'a fait entendez yo.
Little bit. So we want to get this show on the road, especially for our folks standing here in the mosh pit. Hang on there. We love you. Well, let me just start by saying hello, Kalamazoo. or should I say Kamalazoo? Who is ready to elect the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris? Yes. But let me start, of course, by thanking Hallie for everything she's done to get out the vote here in Michigan. But most of all, I want to thank all of you because 100 years old. No. Oh my goodness. You look amazing. I bow down. Doesn't it feel good to be together? I mean, it feels so good. I haven't done this in such a long time. It feels good to see how strong, how hopeful, how energized, how organized we all are. And we need that. We need all of you, because right now, as you know, this race is close. It's too close for my liking. And I came out here to Michigan because I am someone who takes her own advice to heart. I know that if we want to help this country finally turn the page on the politics of hatred and division, we can't just sit around and complain. No, we've got to do something. If we want to usher in the next generation of American leadership, we have got to do something. If we want to elect someone with a character that is worthy of the Oval Office, someone with the strength of heart to guide our country to a better day, we have got to what? And that someone, of course, is my dear friend Kamala Harris. And Michigan, I am so hopeful about the energy and poise and joy that Kamala has injected into this race. And if you know Kamala like I do, that's no surprise. I mean, think about it. No one could have predicted the way everything would have unfolded this summer. And yet, in a critical moment when our country needed her, Kamala couldn't have been more prepared to meet that moment. And she's met it every single day since. Yes. Oh, she's filling arenas in a way we haven't seen for years. She's building a remarkable campaign in record time, dominating her opponent so thoroughly in the debate, he was too scared to face her again. Kamala, she's putting herself out there fearlessly, facing down even her harshest critics. She's seeking out Republicans to find common ground. And unlike her opponent, she's not ducking interviews or cowering in safe spaces only with fawning audiences. No, she's showing us what a sane, stable leader looks like. She's not losing her train of thought or stumbling over her words. And she's doing it all with vigor and with grace. That's because Kamala Harris is a grown-up. And Lord knows we need a grown-up in the White House. Someone with the maturity and fresh ideas to keep moving our country forward. Kamala is the only candidate in this race who has outlined a clear set of policies, including focusing on lowering costs and reducing drug prices for all Americans, giving tax credits to first-time homebuyers, folks starting small businesses, and working families raising our kids. Let me tell you, it is a remarkable plan. And these remarkable last few months mirror the way Kamala has handled herself her entire life, fighting for working people and the vulnerable, first as a prosecutor, then as an attorney general, then as a U.S. senator, and now as our vice president of the United States. Taking on the big banks, the transnational gangs and predatory for-profit colleges, and always doing it, holding her head high with warmth and dignity and class. So Michigan, do not buy into the lie that we do not know who Kamala is or what she stands for. This is someone who understands you, all of you, someone from a middle-class family raised mostly by her mom, like so many of us, leaning on her neighbors like we all do. That's what you want in a president, someone who gets you and will have your back. Take it from me. And I know good people. Kamala Harris is an extraordinary human being. She is an extraordinary candidate. And she will be an extraordinary president of the United States of America. Mark my words, because I don't lie. So Michigan, with all that being said, I got to ask myself, well, why on earth is this race even close? I lay awake at night wondering what in the world is going on. And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment? Are we willing to do what it takes to get her across the finish line, or are we going to let ourselves get distracted and fall for the scam? Are we going to lose sight of the dire consequences if we come up short? And right now, folks, I have to be honest, I'm not completely sure of the answers to those questions. Y'all give me great comfort in this arena. But this is a big country, and that's why all of my hope about Kamala is also accompanied by some genuine fear. Fear for our country, fear for our children, fear for what is coming our way if we forget the stakes in this election. And y'all, that's why I'm here today. And y'all know I hate politics. But I hate to see folks taken advantage of even more. So I wanted to do everything in my power to remind the country that I love, that there's too much we stand to lose if we get this one wrong. I'm deeply concerned, and I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close. But whether it's online or in the media or in our social circles, there are folks who say they're not sure about Kamala. They accuse her of not providing enough policy detail. Some wonder, do we really know her? Is she too aggressive? Is she not aggressive enough? There are folks sowing seeds of doubt about whether she's who she appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Voters have every right to ask hard questions of any candidate seeking office. But can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent? We expect her to be intelligent and articulate, to have a clear set of policies, to never show too much anger, to prove time and time again that she belongs. But for Trump, we expect nothing at all. No understanding of policy, no ability to put together a coherent argument, no honesty, no decency, no morals. Instead, too many people are willing to write off his childish, mean-spirited antics by saying, well, Trump's just being Trump, rather than question his horrible behavior. Some folks think he's funny. And if you remember, that's exactly how he got elected the first time. Folks gave him a pass and rolled the dice, betting that he couldn't possibly be that bad. And then there were those folks who didn't think it really mattered who the president was, if you can believe that. And still others who thought it'd be a good idea just to blow up our entire democracy. Let us not forget how badly that worked out for all of us. Let us not forget the incompetence and the corruption, the chaos that was the cornerstone of his entire 4 years in office. Let's start with the pandemic. Remember how woefully unprepared he was? How he was sowing seeds of fear and confusion, endangering lives with his lies and ignorance, denigrating the doctors and scientists trying to help us. You want to talk about plans? Well, my husband left him a very detailed pandemic plan. And you know what he did? He ignored it. He had no clue how to get us out of that crisis. No ability to bring back the millions of jobs we lost so suddenly. No idea how to get our students back into school safely. No attempt to help stem the epidemic of loneliness and isolation that too many of our young people are still dealing with. And his failures had real costs. America lost 7 million more jobs during the COVID downturn than the European Union. Among wealthy nations, the United States had one of the highest COVID death rates. Again, all of this occurred with Trump in charge. And sadly, this was just the tragic exclamation point on his disastrous presidency. Installing judges and justices who have now stripped away our reproductive freedoms. Cracking down on protesters marching to protect their sons from being shot because of the color of their skin. Rolling back protections for LGBTQ Americans. Fanning conspiracy theories, unleashing hatred in our communities. And then, when the American people fired him from a job that was too big for him to begin with, he tried to steal it, egging on a violent mob that breached our nation's capital. And when told that his own vice president was in danger, you know what he said? So what? So what, y'all? He said, so what? And after all of that, and there is more, there are still folks wringing their hands, crossing their arms, tuning out, saying they plan to sit this election out to prove a point. Well, let me tell you who isn't tuning out. Many of the folks who served closest to Trump and saw the danger firsthand. His former vice president, almost half of his former cabinet members, the growing list of 4-star generals and Republican governors and senators and former House members, all of whom are not publicly supporting his candidacy the second time around. Y'all hear what I said? They are saying no, thank you. Many are speaking out. His chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, for example, said, and these are his words, that Trump is fascist to the core. His Joint Chief of Staff. These folks know that nothing this man says or does is funny in any way. So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon, a known slumlord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse. All of this while we pick apart Kamala's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do, y'all. So I am praying that those of us contemplating voting for Trump or not voting at all will snap out of whatever fog we are in. I am praying that we consider the decades of sacrifice and struggle by all of our ancestors, the folks who marched and sacrificed and shed their blood for us. We have to ask ourselves, is a vote for Trump or no vote at all the way we honor their lives? And if that's the case, well, that surely doesn't sound like freedom to me. Because let me tell you, in any other profession or arena, Trump's criminal track record and amoral character would be embarrassing, shameful, and disqualifying. So, I hope that you will forgive me if I am worried that we will blow this opportunity to finally turn the page on the ugliness once and for all. Because believe me, if Donald Trump is president again, at some point or another, that ugliness will touch all of our lives. And it will not matter what you look like, how you worship, who you love, or how you vote. If you don't make 6 or 8 or 12 figures, if you're not famous, if you criticize or disagree with him in any way, if he doesn't view you as his equal or relevant to his ambitions, I promise you, he will not think about you when he gets into the Oval Office. And that will have real consequences for all of us. If your town gets hit by a natural disaster, who do you want looking out for you? Is it Donald Trump, who's spreading so many lies and conspiracy theories about climate change and FEMA that the workers in North Carolina trying to help folks clean up after the last hurricane were fearing for their safety? Or is it Kamala Harris, who has been meeting with local officials, comforting the families in that state and doing everything she can to get folks the help they need? If you're saving up to buy a house or pay off student loans, if you're caring for your kids or your parents or both, if you are a farmer, a factory worker, a paralegal, anyone whose job may be changed or replaced by technology, who will actually be thinking about you? Is it Donald Trump, who's palling around with billionaires that want a puppet in the White House who will let him run unchecked? Or is it Kamala Harris, who has been fighting for working people her entire life? If you're one of our service members, our veterans, or military families, who is going to value your service and sacrifice? Is it Donald Trump, who has called those who gave their lives for our country suckers and losers? Or is it Kamala Harris, who I guarantee you will honor your commitment to the ideals we all share with every fiber in her being? And if you are a mother who has lost sleep worrying if your son could be the victim of a nightmare traffic stop gone bad, if you've ever been out there marching and weeping for justice, who do you think is going to have your back? Is it Donald Trump, who once took out a full-page ad to demonize innocent young black teenagers in New York City, who has dreamed openly about his own version of a purge, where in his words, he has said for one day, one real rough, nasty day, he says, he will allow cops to use violence indiscriminately, who I am sure has never spent a single second thinking about the lives on the other end of those batons? Or is it Kamala Harris, who understands the anguish in these interactions and has the experience that shows us that, yes, it is possible to keep our community safe and keep innocent people out of harm's way? And finally, y'all, who could possibly think that this man would care more about our men and boys more than Kamala Harris? And while we're at it, I want to think about who do you think possibly would care more about our reproductive health? And I just want to take a moment with this particular question, because there is so much that gets lost in the conversation about women's reproductive rights. And I want the men in the arena to bear with me on this, because there's more at stake than just protecting a woman's choice to give birth. And sadly, we as women and girls have not been socialized to talk openly about our reproductive health. We've been taught instead to feel shame and to hide how our bodies work. Some young girls enter puberty not knowing what to expect. Too many of us suffer with severe cramps and nausea for days on end every single month. And then on the other end of the reproductive timeline, too many women my age have no idea what's going on with our bodies as we battle through menopause and debilitating hot flashes and depression. See, fellas, most of us women, we suck up our pain and we deal with it alone. We don't share our experiences with anyone. Not with our partners, or our friends, or even our doctors. Look, a woman's body is complicated business, y'all. Yes, it brings life, and that's a beautiful thing. But even when we are not bearing children, there is so much that can go wrong at any moment. Every woman here knows what I'm talking about. An unexpected lump, an abnormal pap smear or mammogram, an infection, a blockage, all of which could be early signs of a variety of life-threatening cancers. And in those terrifying moments when something goes wrong, y'all, which will happen at some point to the vast majority of women in this country, let me tell you, it feels like the floor falls out from under us. In those moments, all we have to rely on is our medical system. In those dark moments, all we have to rely on is our faith in a higher power and the experience of doctors to get us the care we need in a timely manner. And look, I don't expect any man to fully grasp how vulnerable this makes us feel, to understand the complexities of our reproductive health experiences. In all honesty, most of us as women don't fully understand the breadth and depth of our own reproductive lives, you know? And that's because our experiences are often neglected by science. There's a huge disparity in research funding for women's health. And if you happen to look like me and report pain, you're more likely to be ignored, even by your own doctors, studies show. So let me take a minute to help folks, especially the men in our lives, to get a better sense of what could happen if we keep dismantling parts of our reproductive care system piece by piece, as Trump intends to do. I want folks to understand the chilling effect, not just on critical abortion care, but on the entirety of women's health, all of it. There are good reasons why so many women and physicians are horrified by what's happened since Donald Trump's justices overturned Roe v. Wade. We're seeing women scrambling across state lines to get the care they need. Just this week, a major medical journal reported that after Roe was overturned, infant mortality in this country rose, in large part because women are being forced to carry fetuses that won't survive to term. One woman spent 22 days in jail on murder charges after she miscarried in her own bathroom. We are seeing doctors unsure if they can treat ectopic pregnancies. Doctors being told they can't treat a woman until she becomes so close to death that only a life of the mother exception will allow them to act. So just imagine the profound effects for all of us if Donald Trump wins this election. In states that are already putting abortion bans into effect, his FDA could further outlaw patchwork systems of telehealth appointments and mail-order pills, thereby eliminating the last remaining protections for women in those states. He could take actions that effectively ban abortion nationwide, which would put all of us in danger, no matter what state we live in. We will see more doctors hesitating, or shying away from providing life-saving treatments because they are worried about being arrested. More medical students reconsidering even pursuing women's health at all. More OB/GYN clinics without enough doctors to meet demand, closing their doors, leaving untold numbers of women in communities throughout this country without a place to go for basic gynecological care, which in turn will leave millions of us at risk of undiagnosed medical issues like cervical and uterine cancers. This is real. So do you think Donald Trump is thinking about the consequences for the millions of women who will be living in medical deserts? Does anyone think he has the emotional maturity and foresight to come up with a plan to protect us? Y'all, we are teetering on the edge. Even before these state bans, America was already lagging behind every other wealthy nation on measures like maternal mortality and paid leave. So we could be right back to the days before Roe, which many young people here don't even remember. The days when abortion wasn't as safe as it is today. The days when the number of mothers of color dying in childbirth was 30 to 40% higher than when it was under Roe. So to the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. And this will not just affect women, it will affect you and your sons. The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls, but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college, their entire futures totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy. If you and your partner are expecting a child, you will be right by her side at the checkups, terrified if her blood pressure is too high, or if there's an issue with the placenta, or if the ultrasound shows that the embryo was implanted in the wrong place, and the doctors aren't sure that they can intervene to keep the woman you love safe. If your wife is shivering and bleeding on the operating room table during a routine delivery gone bad, her pressure dropping as she loses more and more blood, or some unforeseen infection spreads and her doctors aren't sure if they can act, you will be the one praying that it's not too late. You will be the one pleading for somebody, anybody, to do something. And then there is the tragic but very real possibility that in the worst case scenario, you just might be the one holding flowers at the funeral. You might be the one left to raise your children alone. See, these are just some of the ways women die during childbirth. And I don't want to be a downer, y'all. But in many cases, there is no warning and things go bad very quickly. And when it happens, every second of hesitation or delay can lead to devastating outcomes. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through, who don't fully grasp the broad-reaching health implications that their misguided policies will have on our health outcomes. The only people who have standing to make these decisions are women with the advice of their doctors. We are the ones with the knowledge and experience to know what we need. So please, please do not hand our fates over to the likes of Trump, who knows nothing about us, who has shown deep contempt for us. Because a vote for him is a vote against us, against our health, against our worth. And let me tell you all, to think that the men that we love could be either unaware or indifferent to our plight is simply heartbreaking. It is a sad statement about our value as women in this world. It is both a setback in our quest for equity and a huge blow to our country's standing as a world leader on issues of women's health and gender equality. So fellas, before you cast your votes, ask yourselves, what side of history do you want to be on? I recognize that there are a lot of angry, disillusioned people out there, upset with the slow pace of change. And I get it. It is reasonable to be frustrated. We all know we have a lot more work to do in this country. But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. So, are you as men prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety? And to the women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us. We have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment. And we are more than just baby-making vessels. And if you are a woman who lives in a household of men that don't listen to you or value your opinion, just remember that your vote is a private matter. Regardless of the political views of your partner, you get to choose. You get to use your judgment and cast your vote for yourself and the women in your life. Remember, women, standing up for what is best for us can make the difference in this election. So let us use our voices in these final days to make it plain to the men in our lives that we need to stand not with Trump, but with us. We need them to vote for the only candidate in this race who will protect our lives. We need them to vote for Kamala Harris. Kamala, she will fight to restore our reproductive freedoms and defend our health. Kamala will fight for our access to life-saving emergency care and maternal care in every state. Kamala will veto any abortion ban or bill that restricts access to contraception or IVF. Kamala will expand access to birth control and abortion pills. And she will do all of this not because she's a woman, but because she's a decent human being.
Are you fired up? You ready to go? Oh, it is good to be back in Nevada. It is good to be back at Cheyenne High School. I've been here so many times over the years, it feels like I should get a diploma. I feel like a desert sheep. Now, I love you back. I do. That's why I keep coming back. But I am here today for a very important reason. And that is to make sure not just that you vote, but everybody you know votes. For your members of Congress, Stephen Horsford and Dina Titus and Susie Lee. For your Senator Jackie Rosen. And for the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris. Now, you already heard from Jackie and some other speakers, but I'm going to reiterate this. We just got to drum this home. Here in Nevada, voting has already started. You can vote early by mail, or you can vote in person. You can still register to vote at any early vote center in your county. Just go to iwillvote.com/NV, iwillvote.com/NV, and you can find a vote center or a ballot drop box near you. And then help your friends and family make a plan to vote. Because together we have a chance to choose a new generation of leadership in this country and start building a better, stronger, fairer, more equal, more hopeful America. Now, but before I start digging in, it's kind of hot in here. So I want everybody to bend their knees a little bit if you're standing. You know, if you got a little water, take a sip. You know, I don't want anybody falling out. You'll be okay, but it's embarrassing. All right, so keep those knees bent a little bit. Every once in a while, move around. Don't stand too stiff. All right, now that we've gotten that taken care of, the preliminaries. We know this election's going to be tight. And it's going to be tight because a lot of Americans are still struggling. You know, as a country, we've been through a lot over these last few years. You think about it. We had a historic pandemic that wreaked havoc on communities, on businesses. And then the disruptions from the pandemic caused price hikes. And that put a strain on family budgets. And so people started feeling like no matter how hard they ran, they were kind of treading water. And they started worrying, will my kid have the same kind of future I had? So I get why people are looking to shake things up. It's understandable. I understand it. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you. Because there's absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down that golden escalator 9 years ago. I mean, he's complaining, he's griping, and when he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. He's trying to sell you some gold sneakers. He was trying to sell you a $100,000 watch. Supposed to be Swiss made, but nobody in Switzerland really knows where it got made. He's trying to sell you a Trump Bible. Think about that. This is the Word of God. Gideon gives it out for free. He wants to sell you Word of God, Donald Trump edition. He's got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. And by the way, I'll give you one guess where those Bibles are made. In China. Yeah, this is Mr. Tough Guy on China, except when he can make a few bucks. Then he's all like, ain't nothing wrong with that. You cannot make this stuff up. You can't make it up. If this was an SNL skit, you'd be all like, well, that's, come on. That's over the top. No, he's doing these things. And the reason he's doing it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. He sees power as nothing more than a means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut to help mostly him and his country club buddies. He doesn't care if he costs more women their reproductive freedoms because it won't affect his life. Most of all, Donald Trump wants you to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, and between the quote-unquote real Americans who obviously support him and anybody who doesn't, because having people divided and angry and resentful and full of grievance, that boosts his chances of being elected. That's why he does it. Do not boo. Vote. Listen, I was backstage here and I was hearing y'all boo. Let me tell you something. Cannot anybody hear your boos? You know what they hear? Your vote. They hear your vote. They don't hear your boos. Vote. Now, so look, I like that. Go ahead. Now, I've spoken about Donald Trump's intentions, what his concerns are. They are not you. But there's another concern that I have about Donald Trump, which is his competence. Have you seen him lately? I mean, he is out there, he's giving these 2.5-hour speeches, just a word salad. You don't know what he's saying. At any given moment. He held a town hall meeting where, now the point of a town hall meeting, I've had like maybe 1,000 of them. The point is you meet with people and you answer their questions. He just stopped. He's all like, I don't feel like taking questions anymore. And then he just played music for half an hour. Just swayed to Ave Maria and YMCA. I mean, imagine if Jackie or I did that. Now our playlist might be better, but it is strange behavior. He called himself the father of IVF. I have no idea what that means. And neither do you. He said January 6th was a day of love. Said it. Boom, boom. Vote. Said it was a day of love. I mean, made it sound like it was Coachella. So, you would be worried if your grandpa started acting like this. You would. I mean, right? You'd like call up your brother, your cousin or something and be like, hey, have you seen grandpa lately? What are we gonna do? But this is coming from somebody who wants unchecked power. Wants the most powerful office on earth with the nuclear codes and all that. Now, the point is we do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. Arizona, we are ready for a President Kamala Harris. That's what we want. And the good news is that Kamala Harris is ready for the job. I mean, this is a leader who has spent her entire life fighting on behalf of people who need a champion. Somebody raised in the middle class, worked at McDonald's while she was in college just to pay her expenses. Somebody who believes in the values that built this country. And she is as prepared for the job as any nominee for president has ever been. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. I love that guy. Tim's a veteran. He's a teacher. He is a football coach. He's a hunter. Been a great governor. Working with Democrats and Republicans to get stuff done. And I just found out he can take vintage trucks apart and put them back together again. Now imagine that. You think Donald Trump can do that? Do you think Donald Trump's ever changed a tire in his life? Huh. You know, if he gets a flat tire, he calls Jeeves. Jeeves, change that tire. The point is, if you elect Kamala and Tim, they won't be focused on their problems. They're going to be focused on your problems. They understand too many folks here in Nevada and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. And listen, wages actually are steadily growing, and inflation is finally slowing. But for a lot of folks, the price of everything from healthcare to housing to groceries, it's still too high. It hurts. The question is, who's actually going to do something about it? Yeah, I know you know the answer, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Somebody's all like, I know. Donald Trump's plan is to give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. Now, wait, hold on. Some people hear that because I'm having conversations with folks. They're all like, well, I don't know, I know Trump's kind of crazy, but I remember the economy when he first came into office. I remember those first 2 years were pretty good. Yeah, it was good because it was my economy. Some of y'all remember what it was like in Nevada when I came into office. The worst financial crisis in history. The housing market collapsed here in Nevada. You remember that? Boarded up homes everywhere. Folks' mortgages underwater. I spent 8 years cleaning up that mess that the Republicans had left me. And then I handed over to Donald Trump 75 straight months of job growth. And all he did with it was give a tax cut to the people who didn't need it, drove up the deficit in the process, and now he wants to do it all over again. So, if you're talking to somebody, and y'all know somebody who's all like, well, I don't know, I remember Trump, the economy that was pretty good. You remind them, it wasn't good because of anything he did. So that's point number one. Point number two, when it comes to health care, Donald Trump has got one answer. He wants to end the Affordable Care Act. He doesn't even really know what the Affordable Care Act is or how it works. He just knows I did it. No, that's the truth. A couple weeks ago, his running mate had the nerve, the chutzpah, to say Donald Trump, quote, salvaged the Affordable Care Act. There are a bunch of folks from Congress here. Let me tell you, he spent his entire presidency trying to tear it down. And he couldn't even do that right. And now, 8 years after he was elected, y'all saw this, he was at the debate. So the moderators asked a pretty reasonable question. It's like, well, you always say you want to, end the Affordable Care Act. What are you going to replace it with? And he kind of like stumbled, and then he said, well, I have a concept for a plan for how he'd replace it. What? What? I want you all to think about this a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment, says to you, I need this done by Friday. Friday rolls around, and she says, so you finish that project I asked for? And you say, well, no, ma'am, I haven't actually started, but I do have a concept of a plan. Or, we're here in Cheyenne High School. We got some high school kids here. You should try that on one of your teachers. Papers due date rolls around, everybody's turning it in, you don't have yours. I say, well, I do have a concept for a paper. What? How's that going to go over? If it wouldn't work for you, why should it work for the President of the United States? But the good news is, Kamala Harris doesn't have the concepts of a plan. She's got an actual plan to make your life better. She got a plan to bring down the cost of things like groceries. She'll go after corporations that are jacking up prices, just like she went after big banks and for-profit colleges when she was Attorney General of California. To lower housing costs, Kamala will cut red tape and work with state and local governments as well as the private sector to build 3 million new homes. She has a concrete plan to do that, and then she'll give first-time home buyers up to $25,000 to help with a down payment. That is a concrete plan to help solve the issue of housing affordability. To lower health care costs, Kamala already worked with Joe Biden, Jackie Rosen, members of Congress who are here to take on the drug companies, bring down the cost of insulin, hearing aids, more than 50 prescription drugs. And as president, she'll never stop working to limit out-of-pocket costs and protect your care. And instead of giving more tax cuts to folks who don't need them, to billionaires, Kamala will give a tax cut to 100 million middle class and working people here in America. That's who Kamala is. That's what she stands for, not concepts of a plan, actual plans. Now, I got some more points. If you challenge Donald Trump or his VP nominee, Vance, if you challenge them on, well, these concepts don't seem to make much sense and nobody really understands them and the economists tell you they're not going to work, if you challenge them, they'll fall back on one answer. It does not matter what it is, housing, healthcare, education, paying for the bills. One answer, blame the immigrants. Don't boo. What'd I tell you? He wants you to believe that if you elect him, he will just round up whoever he wants and ship them out, and all your problems will be solved. Now, let me tell you something, because I've been working on this for a long time. We have a real issue at the border. We are a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. We have to make sure the system works the way it's supposed to, so that we've got legal immigration, which built our nation, where we've got folks like the DACA folks that I worked on behalf of to make sure that they grew up here, that we give them pathways to citizenship. But we also have to have an orderly border. We have to have it fair. There's nothing, that's the truth. We have to fix some aspects of it that are broken. Sí se puede. But when I hear Donald Trump talk, I keep on, he's very quick to say to Kamala, well, you were vice president 4 years. Dude, you were president for 4 years. As I recall, you were up there in the Oval Office. So if rounding up and deporting millions of desperate people, many of them who are women and children, if that's the answer to everything, well, why is it that the number of undocumented immigrants were basically the same when he left office as when he took office? He didn't solve the problem, and I'll tell you why. Because he does not have a real plan. He has a concept of a plan, and it's a mean and ugly plan designed to foster resentment and divide people. You know what would actually bring order to the border? Help fix our immigration system? There was a bipartisan deal just a few months ago. Kamala Harris supported it, even though it was written by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress. That same bill, Donald Trump purposely told Republicans in Congress, do not vote for it. Not because he thought necessarily that it won't work, but because he wanted to keep the issue to campaign on. He thinks fear-mongering is how he's going to win this election. We do not need a president who will make problems worse just to make his politics better. We need a president who actually cares about solving problems and making your life better, and that's what Kamala Harris will do. And in order for her to do it, she is going to need a Senate full of public servants like Jackie Rosen. This is something that sometimes folks forget about. We need Kamala Harris in the White House. But I can tell you this from experience. You need a team. Presidents are not kings, although Donald Trump would like to think they are. You need a Congress that supports what you want to get done. Jackie has a long record of looking out for middle-class families, of taking on special interests to bring down costs. She's one of the most bipartisan members of the Senate. She doesn't care which party you're from. If you've got a good idea to make life better for the people of Nevada, she'll work with you. She's for it. That's the kind of person we need in Washington.
Okay, all right, okay, let's settle down. We got some work to do. We got some work to do, but can we give it up, please, for Chris? Thank you so very much. All your leadership. And Michaela, I was looking for you. I don't know where you are, but I'm saying hello to you, too, because you are part of the reason I do what I do. Thank you. All right, Harrisburg, are we ready to do this? Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to win? Yes, you are right. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania and with so many incredible leaders, including your extraordinary Lieutenant Governor Davis, Representative Kim, and Mayor Williams. And let's send Bob Casey back to the United States Senate. All right. Okay, so this election is underway, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here this afternoon, for us to all be under one roof together, sharing this moment of commitment to our country and each other. I thank you all for the time that you are taking for us to all be here together. All right, so now is the time to remind our neighbors and our friends to make a plan to vote in person on Election Day, or to return your mail ballot. And Pennsylvania, if you still have a mail ballot, you can take it to a ballot drop box or an election office in your county by 8 p.m. on Election Day. Let's spread the word and ask folks to go to iwillvote.com if they need more information. So I'm visiting with you this afternoon because we need you to vote, Pennsylvania. We need you to vote. Because we have just 6 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. And we have work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. But we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work. And make no mistake, we will win. We will win. We will win. And part of the reason we will win is because I do believe when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. And we know we have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is, but Pennsylvania, that is not who we are. And I know plenty of folks are just exhausted with it all and know that it is time to stop pointing fingers and to start locking arms. It is time. It is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And together with you, we will do this, and I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America. Thank you. And let me just say, Pennsylvania, you know my background. I am not afraid of tough fights. For decades, as a prosecutor and the top law enforcement officer of our biggest state, I won fights against the big banks that were ripping off homeowners, against for-profit colleges that scammed veterans and students, against predators who abused women and children, and cartels that trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. And if you give me the chance to fight on your behalf as president, there is nothing that will stand in my way of working for you. And look, we know who Donald Trump is, right? So this is someone who is not thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. And look, in less than 90 days, either he or I will be in the Oval Office. Because here's the thing, we know if he is elected, on day one, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When I am elected, I will walk in with a to-do list. And at the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president. I will give a middle-class tax cut to 100 million Americans. Enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries. And fight to make sure that hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. If you are caring for an elderly parent, my plan will cover the cost of home care under Medicare. So seniors can get the help they need and the care they need to stay in their own homes. It's about dignity. It's about dignity. Which is why my plan will also lower the cost of child care. Cut taxes for small businesses and lower health care costs, because I believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. On the other hand, Donald Trump's answer to financial pressures is for you to face the same deal. Here's the thing. Let me say something. We are 6 days out of an election. We are 6 days away from an election. And ours is about a fight for democracy and your right to be heard. That is what is on the line in this election. That is what is on the line in this election. Look, everybody has a right to be heard, but right now I am speaking. And one of the biggest issues that folks around the country want to talk about and hear is about how we are going to bring down the price of living for working people. And people know that Donald Trump's answer to the financial pressures that you face is the same as the last time, another $1 trillion tax cut for billionaires and big corporations. And this time, he will pay for it with a 20% national sales tax on everything you buy that is imported. Clothes, food, toys, cell phones. And a Trump sales tax would cost the average family nearly $4,000 more a year. These are some of the issues that are on the line in the next 6 days, and that's why we are here saying we will not stand for it. We stand for working people. We stand for middle class growth and strength. We are here together because because we know what's on the line. We know that Donald Trump will try, like he has so many times, to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which would throw millions of Americans off of their health care and take us back to when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was? Well, we are not going back. We are not going back. We're not going back. And we are not going back because ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom, like the fundamental freedom of a woman to be able to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And we remember how we got here. Donald Trump, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would do just as they did and overturn the protections of Roe v. Wade. And now in America, 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban, many with no exceptions even for rape and incest, which is immoral. Immoral. And look, Donald Trump's not done. He would ban abortion nationwide, yes, even here in Pennsylvania if he were successful. He would restrict access to birth control, put IVF treatments at risk, and force states to monitor women's pregnancies. Just Google Project 2025, read the plans for yourself, and let us agree. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling people what to do. Not the government. Not the government. If she chooses, she will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government or Donald Trump telling people what to do. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. I will proudly sign it into law. So, Pennsylvania, I am asking for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. And here is my pledge to you. As your president, I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to the challenges you face. Look, I'll repeat it. We are fighting for a democracy. We love our democracy. It can be complicated at times, but it is the best system in the world. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. All right. So look, I will continue with my point. I pledge to you that as President of the United States, I will not be looking to...
Pendant que vous regardez la vidéo, regardez à droite, vous voyez un bouton qui est en noir, qui marque souscribir, mais ça c'est espagnol. Si c'est en anglais, il tape marqué subscribe. Si c'est en français, il a marqué s'abonner. Cliquez sur le bouton ça. Là, on finit cliquer sur lui, ou après, il y a une petite cloche bon côté. Cliquez sur cette cloche là tout. Sur cette cloche là, ou après, l'on abonné, automatiquement, il passe sous première option. Ou après flèche là sous deuxième option. Retirez flèche là sous deuxième option, mettez-le sous première option qui c'est tout. Ça veut dire chaque fois monton vidéo ou besoin une notification. Et puis pas oublier la gon like en bas vidéo ça.
Et guys, ça qu'a fait ça c'est Maestro que vous oubliez nous les même cas mes amis moi gon bonne nouvelle pour ou même qui t'a mérité informé sur toute nouvelle qui a passé à l'étranger ou bien en Haïti, eh bien, li par l'autre côté, c'est branché Chanel pour là qui c'est MPH01. Là, yo bonne nouvelle là, sans vous monter clean et puis propre. Et yo informé tout sur tout ça qui a passé sur question immigration dans le pays États-Unis. Invitez en moun à l'abonner kounya, activez la cloche notification pour pas rater aucune vidéo Léo la gueule. Yo live 2 fois pendant la journée. 7h30 dans le matin et puis 3h30 dans la soirée. Invitez en moun faire ça, c'est m'kak vous. Là, pour une nouvelle là, sans vous remonter. Aïe!